we want to start onshoring in North America, AI is the answer. I think that's the cool thing. Don't think you need to, I know what this startup's going to be. I know what we're going to focus on. No, you shouldn't. I hope you don't. I hope it shows you what to build and then go and build it.
Hi everyone, welcome to Challenger X. I'm Jerome Dwight, entrepreneur, investor, and business leader. Every episode, I sit down with a challenger, a leader rewriting the rules, redefining industries, and shaping the future of business. Today we're joined by Steve Southern, the co-founder and co-CEO of PAVE, a company that's transforming vehicle inspections using AI. PAVE was one of the earliest companies to replace human vehicle inspections with AI. PAVE has created a level of quality, consistency, and accuracy that is unprecedented in the industry. I'm excited for you to listen, so let's get to it. Today we're with Steve Southern, who's co-founder, CEO of PAVE. What I'm interested in hearing about from Steve is how is automotive being changed by AI? Now, Steve's company is essentially challenging an entire industry when it comes to vehicle inspections, and they're using AI. So I want to get right into it, Stephen. Tell us what PAVE does.
What PAVE does. So we've pretty much worked backwards from a traditional inspection, like back when you and I were working together.
Yeah.
Inspecting a car takes a lot of expertise, not just on what types of damages am I looking for, but understanding a car itself and, what are all the different components and what does, some components versus other components relate as far as damage and the damage types and severity and all that fun stuff. And it was always kind of a broken model where you'd have different inspectors having a different result because they're kind of looking at it differently. There was no process as far as how do I centralize all this data and actually gain any good analytics out of it or controls to, improve my, either my valuations I'm giving if I'm a car dealer, when you're getting your car appraised, there's a person doing that. Can we automate that? Auctions, when someone's trying to list a vehicle to sale, attaching a condition report is really valuable because that's going to, enhance that transparency and trust. So I feel better about buying that car, especially remotely, digitally. Yeah. We just saw a need to, how do I automate this entire process so anyone, anywhere, could just simply walk around a vehicle, capture photos, and I end up with that same, standard condition report every single time. But I could do it at scale and, not require any, knowledge or domain knowledge as far as what's an inspection, what's a vehicle. My grandmother did my first PAVE, right?
Wow.
She was 100. Yeah. So that's kind of the work backwards from there. Can grandma do it? And then if grandma can do it, the whole world can do it. Yeah. But it really changes the whole landscape. People, didn't quite realize how important that step in inspecting a car is and how it impacts so many different verticals in automotive. It's not even just automotive, but you expand into, anything that relates to vehicles and the management of vehicles and, getting into fleet and all that fun stuff. So that's what PAVE does. We just make it very easy for anyone to walk around a vehicle, capture photos, and then end up with the same condition report you used to get from, a certified trained inspector that you would have to schedule and, they would take their time to inspect your vehicle. So think of, returning your lease. How beautiful is it now that you can just walk around your car, capture photos, and return your lease in your own driveway. Just let your lease company know, okay, I'm done. Take the car, right? Okay. I've already got my next new car. Yeah. So that's, that's in the core of what a product does.
That's incredible. PAVE is, to me, one of the most innovative companies in a industry like automotive, whether it's fleet, retail, that's typically behind in terms of digital and advancing through technology. And it's such an important step in the vehicle transfer process or vehicle utility, assessing the condition of the vehicle. Whether you're in the rental business, even in a car dealership, you need to know the condition of the vehicle because, as you said, there's lots of knock-on implications to the value of the vehicle, the remarketability of the vehicle. So how were you inspired? Now you have a co-founder. How did you guys think about this idea? What was the initial inspiration to come up with a tool that would basically replace or reduce the human inspection element?
It's a great question, and I get it asked quite frequently. Try and keep it a consistent answer is the key, because it wasn't just Eureka, let's do this. Well, you were part of the journey.
Yeah.
I have a really hardcore principle when, I've got so many ideas. I've got folders full of them, and I've got a great team that kind of transitions from project to project with me that I can get things done if I get a nice, clear path towards it. So it's finding what's that clear path that we can just focus on, bite into. That's not a quick win. I don't like quick wins. We could have done so many, building widgets and things and helping that way. But I wanted to find that what's that really hard problem that's going to take us not just a year, not just 2 years, probably a decade to truly solve. Building your own technology moat in the process, but then being able to step back and say, wow, we changed the way something was done in an industry that needs change. So at least I knew the industry. I was in the industry, and I knew it needed change. And we took about a year and a half where we actually focused more on what does the market want. So we did a lot of micro projects, even with banking, just to get a feel of what are some of the endeavors we can take. I just sold my previous company, so you had that lovely moment of discovery. And then it was really just putting those pieces together. Like, what was my mastery of the 15 years I had in automotive ahead of that? Turned out, I spent a lot of time around used cars, and I was never an inspector, but what I looked at is I personally inspected over 20,000 vehicles at that point, and saw that, okay, this is a problem, but it's also, where do I see the world in automotive at least 2 years out, or more like 10 years out? And I could see where we all need more automation. I love automation. It doesn't need to be AI. Just how do I automate a process? And then just pieces came together, and then it was really finding that champion, which, Move It and Cox Automotive Canada became that champion, and the company that took the risk of, you don't have this yet, but we believe in you, and we believe you can build it, and we'll help, right? And we'll champion that build. And that opened up, now I knew I was on to the right thing to get passionate about and stick with for the next decade or more. But I had the toolbox of Cox Automotive. I hadn't spent as much time at the Mannheim Milton location before that since wholesale days, right? Because I was actually invited in to be able to do more discovery and really understand what do we need to build to fit Cox's needs at the time, which I knew, okay, Cox's needs aren't going to be that much different than everyone else's needs, and let's just start building backwards from there, and here we are. We're still at it hard, and the same philosophy holds true. I won't build even a feature if I don't have that same champion behind it. But it's amazing where those champions start to take you next, which goes way beyond what you envision at the beginning. Can we start to apply PAVE and other asset types like tractor trailers and that type? Of course, but I won't do it until someone champions it. And those opportunities are starting to show their face already. Same with global expansion. We take the same approach. So focus on the United States. That's our main market. Get your core customers there. And when your core customers there, chase the big customers that are global, and when they're ready for you, they'll take you, to other regions and other countries around the world, which we're also fortunate that that's also happened. Right?
That's incredible. And I'm honored to have been one of your early champions. I remember walking into your office at about 2020 when we were doing our due diligence, and and I said, this is going to be a game changer. Human inspection that's going to be somewhat replaced by this tool that you guys were demonstrating for us, PAVE, using AI before AI was even something that we were all talking about, to radically speed up vehicle inspections and also deliver a consistent inspection across the board. So we were really excited about striking a partnership, investment, helping you to become a worldwide standard, and I like your strategy of finding a champion customer. I want to unpack that a bit because
Sure.
you've now become a international success, right? How do you find those champions in these new markets that you're going into?
The way we approached it was we didn't come at that champion with a solution, right? We got the door open where that champion was willing to talk to us about, what are the problems you're trying to solve? What are the missions you're trying to hit in the next year, but more so, long term? What could we do for you? I don't care about what I want to do. If it's intriguing enough that I feel like me and the team can get behind it and wholly focus on it, become obsessed over it, what is that problem that we can get obsessed on? And once you have that match of champion client produces a problem that you get excited about and you truly believe, not just yourself getting the obsessed is the key, right? Lots of opportunities out there, but if it doesn't really align with, can you bring something to it that makes you a bit of not a unicorn and you're going to create $1 billion, I hope you do, but a unicorn in you're going to be the most unique player in this space that no one else is going to bring that same combination of skill sets. And everyone can find one of those, right? So it's first, getting those relationships built where you can have those kind of conversations, positioning your company in the way that you can come and have those conversations where the confidence in you being able to deliver what you're talking about is there. And then the whole world opens up and you don't really know. And I think that's the cool thing. Don't think you need to, I know what the startup's going to be. I know what we're going to focus on. No, you shouldn't. I hope you don't. I hope it shows you what to build and then go and build it. And you'll have at least a 10x advantage over most. It's going to be that much easier to get your team aligned because they really understand that channeled vision. They need that. They don't need a founder that has 5 great ideas and let's throw all of them at the wall. And I hate building product from a boardroom and a whiteboard. It's the last place to build a product. Get out there, get in the trench, feel the problem, see the problem, get working with your client's employees doing the job that you has the problems, and learn it from the inside out, and then work backwards from there. And then you could be you could totally be a challenger and kick butt.
That's so insightful. Most tech founders do build products in a boardroom, and I think the importance of being with your customer, so very valuable. That's an incredible insight for a lot of our, audience who are in the tech space, who are builders of companies. You were very resolute in your vision for PAVE when I first met you, and I know that hasn't really faltered to date. Now, how much skepticism did you have to deal with early on and to date, right? Because as founders, we have to deal with that day in and day out. And so maybe give us some examples of really resistance that you ran into from early on to date.
It's something you do have to deal with day in, day out, and it's never going to go away. If it goes away, it means you're not pushing the boundaries hard enough, right? I'm dealing with that right now with that statement I said about tractor trailers. Now you need rigs, you need hardware, you're going to go into that space. If a client tells me to go in, I will go in that space because I know we can bring the partners together that make that solution work and we can actually execute. But you still have to deal with, the dogma, the bureaucracy, and the naysayers. And that's just normal. If it's not there, you're not trying hard enough.
Right.
But sure, this was 2017 when the first concept of PAVE ever came to me. And you're right, this is pre everyone kind of having a good understanding of AI and AI's capabilities. So when you're telling someone, I want someone to be able to capture a photo, and then, we're going to produce this condition report highlighting all the data, and it's going to be the exact same condition report as what the industry's used to getting from a professional inspection company that has, trained inspectors physically go out and inspect vehicles. I don't think there was a single person except for myself that didn't have skepticism in that concept. And then that's fine. Even when we're meeting and there's going to be 3 people, 4 people that, when I'm not in the room, they're talking to you saying, this guy's nuts. He's not going to, and I hope I sold you enough that, he's nuts, but he's just nuts enough to make it work.
Right.
And, definitely we have that. And then you've got the continuous, in AI, that's just built in. That's just that won't go away for the next decade. So if you're in AI, you're going to have the skeptics while your product's actually proving itself and you can show. And you just need to overcome that with proving to the skeptic, if it's an important skeptic. First, if it's not an important skeptic, you just tune them right out. Just don't even think about them. Don't worry about them. And then if they are unfortunately part of your organization, just find ways to kind of compartmentalize that and don't let it infringe on the rest of the team and the things you're doing. But if it's an important critic, which is good, you're going to have that. You just have to accept it. And then those are your fuel. That's your rocket fuel. Helping make them a believer, then now you're gold, because it might take you 2 years, but you've made them a believer, and now they're, you'll never lose that client. There's several ways to do that.
I want to talk about PAVE now. You're in the US and international as well. Give us a sense of where you've grown into.
So I like to stay focused, right? So we had to turn down a ton of opportunities over the years as we really tried to lock down that US market. The transferability of what we do is universal. A car's damaged the same way everywhere in the world. A lot of your repair methods are exactly the same all over the world. The vehicles change, but you overcome that with, hopefully novel approaches to your technology like we have. But we still stayed very focused in the U.S. market. And then believing that your core customers, we've chased the best customers, the biggest customers, not you kind of need those small, quick wins as you're trying to get revenue, and, that's a whole other story. Take them because you kind of need them, but don't give up chasing, the big elephant, or that's the core. And then those big elephants are all international themselves, right, if they're big enough. And then wait until it's them that is telling you to expand in the internet, and then let that flow. So for us, that journey took us to the UK, Ireland. We've been there for a couple of years now, building up another customer base, different customers, but also customers that have taken us there from the United States. And then that's kind of our global expansion. So 2025 sees us going into the entire scope of all of Europe, so there's lots of fun there in positioning your product to do that. But then now that's new opportunity for additional clients in that region, and then Southeast Asia, Middle East, and that is going to be kind of in the tail end of 2025, moving into 2026. But I am going to go and plant our flag all over the world, just to ensure that, okay, can we really hit our goal of being the world's best inspection platform, period. And you can't really do that if you're not all over the world.
What a great story from an office, a small office in Toronto to now, global expansion. We love to hear those stories, and I think your vision early on to see PAVE as the global standard for vehicle inspections is starting to come to life, and it's an honor to have you here. You're an innovator. You're personally one of the most focused CEOs I know. How do you stay motivated? How do you personally show up every day? What's your leadership style to stay in the game?
I think it starts with finding that obsession first, right? I've been reading a lot, and I have a couple of friends that are entrepreneurs that going to say the word burnout has shown its face to them, right? And then I just had this conversation with a friend last week, I don't understand how I didn't hit that burnout point over the last 6 years building PAVE, because it's insane, right?
It is.
But not even close, right? And people always worry, Steve, you're doing too much, you're working too much, take a weekend off. I have not had a vacation since before COVID. Right. They were actually talking COVID while I was in Jamaica on my last vacation, right? No, and I didn't sleep through COVID. I was like you, let's get going. This is an opportunity, right? And so how's that possible? And it's, tunnel vision, obsession, taking the first step of making sure your life's ready for it first. So you don't want to impact other people through that journey, because it does become all-encompassing. So I was lucky. I kind of cleaned that part of my life up so that I could take on a journey where I just stayed focused and kill it. But then what keeps you going, right? One is always be delivering. So if there's something, some new breakthrough every single month, or something a problem you solve for a client that's totally unique, that's now something that can transfer to multiple clients, those little things keep you going all the time. It doesn't matter how hard you're working and how much stresses the business life does face you, because there's a ton. But then it really gets down to the people, right? The people is the biggest juice, right? That keeps you going. So just watching, like we have a big operation in Vietnam, but it wasn't big. I started there jumping on a plane, not knowing anyone except for my CTO today that's over there, knowing he can't be unique. There must be more engineers just like him in Vietnam. I was right, there's tons of them. Go to Vietnam, right? If you're ever looking for engineers. And then, starting at like a little co-space, Dreamplex, with only 6 people, and then going, only 6 months later, and having to find a new location, do all the renovations all in 3 weeks, and get expand the team to 40 people, and then never going back, because I've already put the right people in place. I've never had to go back to Vietnam for the last 3 years.
Wow.
But it's now 186 people full time, and it's a 5-story building, right, with a big pave sign out front. Amazing, right?
Yeah.
And then you watch the people that started, the 6 core people that I hired when I first went over there are still with us. But you see from their skill sets that they just didn't have the opportunities we have, especially in business and operations and that type of domain. Normally expats come in and take those jobs. Well, they don't get the opportunity. We gave them all those opportunities. And watching them grow and become like the best I've ever had in like HR, operations, all that stuff. We're building people, and how do you not get motivated from watching that? And I'm doing the same now with the machine learning team here in Ontario, watching the coming out of university, starting to get their first job in AI, and watching them grow. And then we've got our core product team here in Ontario that we're also growing up, and watching them, like they're getting exposed to so many things they never would have, but watching how that really builds them up as people. You can't ask for a better motivator. So that's, get in if you could be obsessed, and it could be all your life, all you do, and all you care about, with a little bit of care on the other thing. Don't look for balance. If you're looking for balance, then stay working for someone else, right?
Yeah, and we see that all the time with founders. They all echo that. Balance is something that's quite fleeting, especially in the early years. Right. I remember seeing the first version of your Vietnam operation, and it was quite small but very ambitious even then, and it's great that you are over 180 people now. Incredible that you've been able to scale up. We're kind of at the dawn of now AI becoming, more, commoditized, if you will, and there are a lot of other, geopolitical things going on as well. Blockchain, crypto, all these new technologies, coming to the forefront. What do you see into the future? We always ask this question to end our show. What are the new rules for business? What do you see into the future, for founders and leaders?
So the future is not going to be a whole lot different than what we saw the future going to be 5 years ago, right? Because it's so incremental, and it evolves, and we'll get a surprise where we read an article about, try this ChatGPT, and you try it the first time in October of 2022, and you're blown away by how it, responds, and it was nothing close to what it is today with 4.0. Those things are all fun, and you can expect all that stuff to continuously evolve. But I think my hope with AI is one thing. I love Gen AI, but let's start to look at beyond just Gen AI, what other fundamental applications AI has beyond that, right? Or in combination with it. And I think you're going to see a nice, like, especially computer vision. I think you're going to start to see more and more of what computer vision is capable of. And that combination of what can we do with computer vision meets Gen AI, I think that's going to be a, monstrous change of how we do things. But that's already happening. Like, look at what's going on with autonomous vehicles. They're here now. That's amazing, right? Like, I thought Elon Musk was nuts when he kept saying 2 years, 2 years, 2 years. Yeah, it wasn't 2 years, but at least eventually it was 2 years. And and I see, especially in logistics, how that's going to really transform logistics in the next couple of years. Automotive in general, like, it's going to be, each part of it's going to get impacted in its own unique way. I think, honestly, retail's got the longest way to go because they're too focused on that surface level, like Gen AI, like how can we create another, conversational interface for our customers to speak to us. That's not what we need, right? We've got enough of that. What we really need is, things like, why are we still putting a value on a car based on rear view data? Where's the predictive nature that we can get out of AI today, right? And how can we start equipping the industry that way to the point where, provide it all the way through, like consumers too. You should be able to know what is your car going to be worth in 6 months. The technology is there today. Let's bring it to the forefront and make it happen. And I really do believe it's going to happen. Operations, like what are some of the systems and tools you can implement to make your operations more streamlined, inventory management, on and on and on. I see so much great things coming. Not taking away jobs, building jobs. And that's, for me, okay, there's going to be transition. But that's fine. How many people want to inspect cars in the middle of winter or in a snowstorm or no one, right? But those same people could be doing other bigger, more powerful operations. Manufacturing, like if we want to start onshoring in North America, AI is the answer, right? We could truly get to that Industry 4.0 that we all dreamed of. Start building cars again in Ontario and Detroit and our places that used to build tons of vehicles. We can do that with automation, and that brings jobs. Maybe they're not the assembly line jobs because we're automating more of that, but you can't build a $1.6 billion manufacturing facility without having people running that facility. Right. So you're start onshoring more because of AI. I see that as the next biggest opportunity for North America and automotive in general. And on and on. So the future is not it's a progression of where we've always been going. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised that there's a bigger story of AI than what we've all been talking about. It's great. I love the conversations the last 2 years, but I'm really more looking forward to let's start showing people the other capabilities of AI and how it can actually impact their lives in a pretty amazing way. And their jobs, like your jobs aren't going away. You're just going to be able to do way more in a given week. And maybe you won't have to work so many weekends because AI actually helps you be more efficient. Yeah. Right?
That's great. I'm really, I feel like we can talk for hours about AI, and you clearly are a thought leader in the space. I am so impressed with what you've done with PAVE.
Thank you.
Excited to see where it's going into the future. It's a transformative company. I still continue to be very impressed with the company, yourself, the leadership, and I look forward to hearing more about you and PAVE and having you back on another show.
Don, same with you, big time.
Thanks a lot.
No, thank you.